Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Dr. Velma Talks. It's a pleasure to have you online today. And I apologize that last week I was busy. It took me 3 days to get ready for my photo shoot. And so it was a lot of work. Every day there was something different I had to do. So I want to thank you. Hello, Rashonda. Thank you for joining in. I just want you to know that today is Dr. Velma Talks. I'm going to be sharing some details about some of the things it takes for you to meet your lifelong mate. Some things that I talk about, it actually spills over into marriage because people don't realize that in your preparation for the man that God has for you, there's preparation in it that actually prepares you for the actual marriage. So this Dr. Velma Talks, although it's designed for single Christian women, men might enjoy what we have to talk about as well. Married women might enjoy what we have to talk about as well. So I just wanted to share that with you. On my webpage, I'm going to be changing some of the things that I said early on in my earlier videotaping. There's quite a few freebies on my site that will no longer be freebies unless you register and your email. So just look for that change. If there's something you want to look for now, it's free for now, but soon it will require that you register your email before you receive the actual free PDFs. One PDF that I'm hoping to work on, and my website again is Dr. Velma, no period after doctor, drvelma.com. And if you scroll down to the bottom of the page, you'll see 4 women who have 4 different challenges. And within, if you click on their challenge, it gives you some of the answers I have in there, as well as a PDF based on the conversation that we're having about their particular challenge. That's where those will eventually require that you enter your email. So for now, you feel free to download what's there. I want to make sure that something that came to my mind based on the book that I'm working on now, which I understand from my expert today, the title will be changing. So stay tuned. It's continuing to evolve. I want to prepare it for pre-sale to be released in August. I guess it's going to come out around my birthday. And so it is so in depth that I realize that not only that I have to update my cover, but it looks like my genre as well. So I want to go back over some things and PDFs and helpful hints that I have that I probably will combine in a check off list. It never ceases to amaze me how many women ignore wise counsel. They just ignore it. I mean, you have great information for them. You have great tips and tools, but they ignore it. But let me be honest. The reason we come up with a list of questions we should be asking or inquiring during our initial stages with getting to know someone is because either they're a part of where you're going. Remember, we practice intentional dating. Intentional dating means you date with intent. You have a goal in mind. In intentional dating, the only goal you should have in mind is marriage. And if that person is not interested in dating to marry, then they're absolutely not the one you should be wasting your time with. And so there's specific questions you need to ask. And I don't understand the hesitancy to ask the questions that you need to know. And then when you get them answered, if it's not what you should hear, then you need to take a pause. That's a flag right there. You need to pay attention to the answers you receive. That's why you ask the questions. It doesn't matter how nice the guy is. I want you to understand that dating intentionally is serious dating. And it's intended to protect and guard your heart and your life. There's plenty of brokenness out here in the world today. And the last thing you want to do is be a magnet for everything that's broken out there. Every man that's broken, you become the magnet to. So you must set the standards for yourself and take your dating life serious enough, just like God has designed it to be. Now, either we want to do it God's way or we don't. If you don't want to do it God's way, then I'm fine with you not listening to any of my Dr. Velma talks, because I can only talk about what his word says. And if God says we should take a specific approach, then we should take that approach. It takes a lot to maintain a marriage. My husband and I have been married 47 years. It takes a lot to do that. And so again, I talked to you early on about pragma love. That pragma love means enduring love. It takes a minute to get to that place because you're going to have some hit and misses and some bumps and valleys, and all of it is not going to be mountaintop experiences, just like our walk as Christians are not all mountaintop experiences. We're going to have some suffering and difficulties. Marriages will do the same. One thing I'd like for you to have as a practice is to begin praying for your husband even now, because you're absolutely going to be praying for him once you marry him. There are always opportunities for you to pray. And so even after marriage, you will be praying. For even now, if you have not even met the guy, pray for him. Pray for the man of God that God will have you to meet. Pray for him that God would cover his heart and his mind. Pray for him that he will make right choices and not be fooled by some of the she-wolves out in the world today. Pray for him that God would guard and protect him wherever he goes and what he does. So get in the habit of praying for him now. And then later, once you marry him, you're still praying for him, because instead of nagging, you take it to God. And if he's a man of God and he has God in his heart and in his life, if he's saved, let's just say that, because everybody with the title Christian aren't saved. If he is saved, then you have to trust the God in him. And I'm telling you, it works every time. As a woman that's been married as long as I have, there were challenges when I had to pray for my husband and ask God to give him wisdom, to open up his understanding. And sure enough, that's exactly what God did. It didn't take me nagging. It didn't take me complaining about it. And that's the worst thing a woman can do. You have a more powerful weapon to use against confusion and difficulties and challenges. And your weapon is your prayer. You can then take it to prayer. You don't have to say a word. What is it about women that think we have to tell him off first or give him a piece of our mind first? That's ridiculous. All you're doing is stirring up the pot. And that is not what God says we ought to do. We should always live in peace with every man. And that starts with living in peace at home. The way you handle it is if you trust the God that you serve and the God that he believes in, you pray that God will help to give him wisdom and direction. When we are facing decisions, I can express my opinion when my husband asks, as we're discussing what are the possibilities, what we can do. When we begin to discuss those things, then he still has to weigh all of that, and we have to come up with a final decision. Well, I usually pray that God would give him wisdom. Even if what I felt was what God was telling me, it doesn't matter. I sometimes say, God, I hear what you're saying, but you're going to have to tell him. And so in that, I'm praying, God, show him now. God, show him what you're telling me. Show him what you've shown me, so he will understand as well. So your power as women and your weapon is your prayer. And you must pray for the man of God before he even arrives. And this is not even what I had planned to talk about, but apparently this is what God wanted me to talk about. There's power in your prayer. Your prayer is a weapon, just like your praise is a weapon. Your prayer is a weapon against anything that will come up against your life, your husband, your marriage, your home. That's your weapon. And you must practice that even as a single woman. I remember reading a comment in another group where a woman was complaining about the fact, well, why do we as women always got to do this? Why do we always? And that to me tells me that that person did not understand her role as a woman. God said that the woman was the only thing that was good concerning his creation. He created all these things every day. He created the first day. Oh, this is good. The second day. Oh, this is good. Oh, this is good. And only when he got to the place of looking at Adam and watching him name the animals and watching the animals being coupled, did God say it's not good for man to live alone. It's still the same statement. That statement is real and true as it was when God first said it, as it is today. So many singles get into so much trouble when they're alone. And so here God is saying, let us, God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit decided to create a woman for Adam because it was not good then and is not good today that man would live alone. And so therefore, he created her for a purpose. And so in giving that, there's specific parameters. There's certain things that Adam would never a husband would never realize or come into the realization of without his partner. I remember when my husband was having difficulties at a job once, and I encouraged him. I said, don't they have supervisory position? I said, at some point you're going to get older and you're not going to want to lift this heavy equipment in your 50s and 60s. And so at some point you need to start looking at the management positions and see if that's available and whether or not you'll enjoy that. My husband is a supervisor today. When he retires, he'll be retiring as a supervisor. So I'm saying to you that sometimes we can be when you're the right fit, when you're that missing rib that God removed from Adam, when you're the right fit, when you're the rib that he's looking for, when you have the DNA, hallelujah, for that man that he's been looking for, then you're the right fit. So make it right. Make sure you're operating correctly as a wife. And make sure you're operating correctly even as a single woman. Trust God and trust the God in him. Again, I just want to share that tidbit with you. Your most powerful weapon as a single woman, as a married woman, is your prayer life. And it does not stop you from praying for your husband to come or your husband to be. It does not stop you just because no one's in your life right now. He exists. And you're the one that has to believe that. I can't tell you he exists. I can say it. I believe it does. But you have to believe that. And so from there, you begin to pray for him every day. God, cover my husband. Cover him now. Cover the man of God that I am going to meet. Cover him and bless his life. Cover his job, cover his walk. Even those moments when he might not know what to do. Help him make right decisions. All of that. There's plenty to pray for. We will never not have enough to pray for. So this is my message to you today. Prayer is your weapon, and you can start praying now. You're already married. You can just close this up and start praying and believe in God to make the change that you would like to see. It's not always our job to beat it over the man's head. That was never the role. Matter of fact, that reminds me of Jezebel. And how she just told King Ahab what he needed to do constantly. She was nagging. First of all, she didn't believe. She wasn't a believer. And she practiced just worshiping idols. And so she was not the woman he should have married in the first place as a man who loved God. And so she yang the whole time. She ended up dying, falling out of the window, and dogs licked up her blood. That's how evil she was. That is not the kind of woman we're supposed to be. So don't send poison out of your mouth. Don't send those negative words out of your mouth and leaving it in the atmosphere, because words will hang in the atmosphere. If you don't believe me, read about the story of Jericho when it was destroyed, and God said he would curse the man who would try to rebuild it. And there was a man that showed up, I believe it was like 400 years. Don't quote me on that. Showed up hundreds of years later making that attempt. He was cursed, and so was his children and children's children. So words will hang in the atmosphere, positive or negative. You want to hang more positive in the air than negative. And the best way to do that is through your praise and through your prayer. Hope you have a great day. Hope you enjoyed Dr. Velma's talk today. Have a wonderful day. Take care. Talk to you next Tuesday. Bye.